President Trump has fired the country's top security official in charge of keeping our elections safe. Christopher Krebs played a key role in the government's efforts to secure U.S. elections in every state. However, President Trump ousted Krebs while launching numerous lawsuits claiming that the election was rigged without actually providing any concrete evidence. A lot of those lawsuits are being thrown out of court. So for more on this, let's bring in Frank Cifulo. I hope I said your name right, Frank. He's the director of Auburn University's McCrary Institute for Cyber and Critical Infrastructure Security. Did I say your last name right, Frank?
Close, Salufo, but good enough. I've been called a lot worse.
Great, thank you. Okay, so you've conducted extensive research when it comes to cybersecurity. Christopher Krebs and other top officials stated that the 2020 election was the most secure in American history. Based on your sources, is that accurate? Because apparently the president disagrees.
Well, Chris has done yeoman's work at CISA, the Cyber and Infrastructure Security Agency at DHS. And keep in mind, election security is only one of the many priorities. They're responsible for enhancing the critical infrastructure security of our 17 critical infrastructures, as well as our critical functions. Bottom line is he's done yeoman's work. He's done his job. He's done it well. He's been a steady hand at the helm, and he's treated the issue as it should be in a nonpartisan way. Bottom line is he's taken the time to understand the needs and the requirements of our state and local officials, and they've been pressing the flesh and spending a whole lot of time with our state and local officials since the 2018 midterm elections.
And Frank, you served in the Department of Homeland Security during George W. Bush's administration. You've also testified on Capitol Hill about cybersecurity and various threats facing the U.S. The president has ramped up these allegations. He hasn't provided any evidence. He's talked about dead people voting, software glitches, deleting of votes. However, Christopher Krebs and other top administration officials refuted those claims and essentially called them conspiracy theories. You mentioned something interesting, that since 2018, elections officials had been preparing for this presidential election. But then the pandemic happened. Just help our viewers understand the challenges, the hurdles that our elections officials had to go through in planning when their plans were upended by the pandemic, and the fact that they were able to deliver is, I think, the key important fact, so that Christopher Krebs was able to say credibly that we delivered one of the safest and most secure elections in American history.
Well, you've had more eyes than ever on election officials and obviously the systems. And quite honestly, they're the unsung heroes in all of this. I mean, they've been working tirelessly. Not only did they have to counter what they saw in 2016 in terms of countering foreign influence and potential cyber threats and risks, but they had to do so in the midst of a pandemic. So you had a whole host of public health issues that they needed to get their arms around as well. And CISA played a critical role in enabling all of this. So bottom line is there have been more eyes on this, more effort, more focus, and more professionalism than we've ever seen in the past. So not only did CISA play their role, ultimately our state and local officials and elections officials did amazing work to ensure we pulled off our elections this year.
I think that's a really interesting point when you talked about Krebs and others working with local officials. You know, when I think about the work that Krebs is responsible for, I think I was thinking sort of higher level stuff. I was thinking about, the Russians or the North Koreans or Iran trying to meddle in the election. And you really kind of reinforced to me that there's like really local on the ground work that needs to be done. How has the U.S. and the Department of Homeland Security worked to secure our elections? What actually have they been doing since 2016 on all the many levels, all the way from protecting us from outside influences to protecting us from ourselves?
Yeah, it is about Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, and others, but not alone. So at the end of the day, they were providing best practices that they had seen across the country to all of our state and local officials. They were providing technological support and fixes to make sure that our systems were doing as they were intended and were up to snuff. And and some of the not only the cyber ninja stuff at the highest level, but a lot of cyber breaches occur from spear phishing. So making sure that everything is patched, making sure that all software, hardware, and firmware is secure. So it is a massive effort, and at the end of the day, again, it's our state and local officials who also are due a whole lot of thanks from the rest of us in the United States. But it could not have occurred without the relationships that CISA had built, and had built not months before the election, but this is something that's been ongoing since 2016. And ramped up exponentially for the midterm elections of 2018. They treated this a bit as a practice field, sort of a training exercise. And I might note, CISA's role is integral in all of this, but so is U.S. Cyber Command, who publicly have taken some proactive actions to curtail adversary activity, as well as the Federal Bureau of Investigation. So all things said and done, if there's a story here, it's the fact that CISA did their job, a very difficult job, did it well, but they also were able to integrate the team effort when it comes to cyber, because no single agency, no single local official can do this alone. It's going to require the integration of all of these different efforts. And when you look at the lash up between FBI, CISA, and the National Security Agency, I think it's hard to say it's the most secure election ever, but I can tell you it was the most focused on election ever.
And Frank, I'm cognizant of the fact that in asking you this question, that somebody who has nefarious intentions or wants to spread misinformation may clip it and take it out of context. But just talk to us about some of the glitches that occurred in this election. And in your estimation, are they typical? Were they atypical? Had we seen stuff like this before? Because you got to assume that when, some 140, 150 million people go to the ballot boxes, there will be glitches. And there will be things that you'll go back and say, that shouldn't have happened, or we need to rectify that. What were they? And statistically speaking, when you think about the numbers, the percentage of glitches that may have occurred in this election, what did that look like?
Vlad, I think we still need to get to the honest to goodness after action review that everyone should and will be doing after the fact. I mean, at the end of the day, if there were anything egregious, obviously we've got courts and other processes to address those matters. Are there going to be glitches in elections? Absolutely. Is this new in 2020? No, they've been around for a while. What I think we need to ensure, and this is the most important set of questions here, is it's about the integrity. It's about having confidence in the integrity in the elections process, in the systems themselves. And I think you saw a redoubling of our efforts to ensure that we would minimize the potential consequences and impact of anything going awry. But all that said, we do need to be able to take a clear-eyed view and do the honest, what we would call hot wash or after action review to see what did go wrong, and if so, what do we need to put in place to ameliorate that risk in the future. I mean, this is not an end state. It's a journey, and cyber risk it's everywhere. It's ubiquitous, and that is what we're dealing with today. And CISA's mission is so darn important, and so are those of the state and local officials. So I think people can sleep pretty well that all that could be done was done, and hopefully we learn from the mistakes that were made and do it even better next time around.
Frank Cillufo, always great to have you. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Great to see you guys. Thank you.